Yo, 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 yo! Hello, everypony! Hello, everypony! Johnny Wilson here with another fanfic reading, and it is Chapter 7 of Spike's New Brother. To those who've been waiting for this, I will do my best to get this online and with music as soon as I can. And I'm gonna stick with the Kingdom Hearts or until I can find other music that fits the story. But I think Kingdom Hearts fits it best. That's my opinion. Alright, let's continue. Let's begin. Spike's New Brother, Chapter 7, A Legacy Forgotten, A Legacy Revealed. As we last left our heroes Spike and John, they were basically asked one question from 7 mayors and 1 princess of the night. When's the wedding day? In the void of the dark, Spike and John were struggling, trying to get their bearings. They had no idea where they were. Spike looked to John with a concerned look on his face. John? You know where we are? John looked at Spike and shook his head with just as much concern as Spike. No, I don't. Man, there's nothing but pitch black. I mean, weren't we talking with the girls just a few seconds ago? Spike was now rubbing the bottom of his chin with his claw, nodding his head in agreement. Yes. Then we went back to Ponyville after all that. It's all... But before he could finish, both him and John were encased in a bright light. Spike and John shielded their eyes with their arms until the light faded. It took a few seconds for their eyes to adjust, but when it did, their eyes nearly popped out of their heads. Nearly popped out of their heads. John saw Luna, Princess of the Night, in a stunning wedding dress. It was dark blue with black lining in the streaks, in the form of waves, with stars covering every inch of the dress, and the moon was dead center of the back of the dress. John thought she was basically wearing the constellations. Her mane was styled in the ancient royal custom, and between the dress and her mane, John's heart stopped and his jaw dropped. Spike looked at John and Luna. Spike was now scratching the top of his head, trying to figure out why Luna was dressed like that. Spike looked towards Luna, confused. Luna? Why is she wearing that? Suddenly, a mysterious voice chimed in. Honey, why wouldn't she be wearing that? It's her wedding day. And all for us is... And it's for... sorry. And that's all for us as well. John and Spike's eyes widened to the size of watermelons. They snapped their heads around the mysterious voice and shouted in unison, "What?" As the mysterious figure turned out to be none other than Twilight Sparkle. Spike was about to open his mouth to protest when he realized she was not alone, and the sight that befell him nearly made his heart snap in two. Twilight was wearing a wedding dress, basically the same one Rarity had made when she first made them dresses for every pony, but a newer version though. She wasn't alone. There was Rarity, Applejack, Pinkie Pie, Fluttershy, and Rainbow Dash. Fluttershy's dress basically made her look like a nature goddess who was spewing the life of nature itself. Pinkie Pie's dress was pink with pictures of candy canes and lollipops on it. It made her look like the queen of party and of candy, and her great personality made her glow. Even more, Applejack's dress was basically fit her to the core. She was looked and dressed up as the hot cowgirl type that most man or stallion in this case would drop dead for. She wore her signature hat, plus cowgirl boots and chaps. She looked like a cowgirl out of every stallion's fantasy. Then there was Rainbow Dash. She looked like a warrior, dressed in the symbols of her cutie mark. Dressed in the symbols of her cutie mark were on it. She looked something out of Greek mythology, beautiful yet strong, yet demanding respect and nobility. It took Spike's breath away. She was basically screaming that she was the most powerful, and most beautiful, and the fastest Pegasus in Equestria. Then there was Trixie. Spike's breath was once again taken away. She was wearing a light crystal dress. Stars and Magical symbols were etched into the clothing of her dress to match the color of her mane, and in the glow of the brilliant white light, it seemed that she was basically absorbing it, adding to her power and beauty. Spike truly thought that at that moment, any second now, she would sprout wings and become a princess. The last, but not least, was Rarity. Spike couldn't take it anymore. He thought his soul would jump out of his body. Oh, excuse me, folks. Rarity's dress was crystal white, with white diamonds and crazy blue diamonds covering every inch and every cranny of the dress as it hugged every inch, every corner on her. Spike's mind was about to explode, but instead he used his mouth.
What? What? Did I die? Am I in paradise? But why are you all dressed like that?
John shook his head in agreement, but he did not take his eyes off Luna. He couldn't. He wouldn't dare. Her beauty was too great.
Oh boy. Oh man. Hey.
I got nothing, he said with a love-struck, goofy expression on his face. Spike couldn't argue. He had the same expression on his face.
Gosh, if I didn't know any better, I think this was our...
John smiled and nodded.
Yeah, like it's our... Oh my bap, our wedding!
They said in unison, the color draining from their bodies with shock. Then came a voice the two were already familiar with. It was none other than Princess Celestia. Why, of course, 'tis your wedding day, silly boys. We have been preparing this for months. Spike and John snapped their heads towards Celestia, confused. Spike was the first to address this.
Months? It was only 10 seconds ago. Since when? Since we started talking about it.
John only shook his head frantically.
Yeah, that's right. Where did we go from 10 seconds to months? And wow, Spike, where did you get that wedding tuxedo?
Spike was hesitant, but he looked down to his chest, and sure enough, he was wearing one of the most finest, most beautiful wedding tuxedos he had ever seen. It looked something like a king would wear. It was a basic tuxedo, split tails, and on it were the symbols of each. Symbols. Each one represented the elements of harmony. The last three were a picture of the moon with magical magician hats on the background, representing Trixie's family, as well as Luna's moon, and the sun, each representing his mother and his aunt. Spike couldn't believe it. He loved it. He never had anything so fancy. Spike looked to his brother and gasped in awe.
Me? What about you? You look like a king out of ancient times.
John was puzzled. He went to a nearby mirror that somehow appeared out of nowhere. The suit was golden colored with black streaks with stars in the streaks. Every time he moved, the constellations on his suit changed. It took his breath away. John looked back at Spike's jaw dropping. What's going on here? Luna trotted up to him and kissed him on the lips. John blushed from ear to ear. Luna only smiled. What do you think it is, darling? It is our wedding day. Now hurry up and say, I do. Exactly, shouted 7 young mares, now looking at Spike. Celestia trotted up to them, in between John and Spike, and smiled her devious, coy smile. Come on, everybody. Come now, everybody's waiting. Preacher, please continue. John and Spike snapped their heads towards the center of the room. Celestia's horn began to glow, brightening the room. Just then, they realized where they were. At a wedding church in Canterlot. Spike and John shouted in unison, How the hey we get here? Standing behind the pew was the preacher ponying question. This is the preacher. Young man, young dragon, you may now kiss the brides. The moment he said this, the girls started surrounding them, making sure they couldn't get away. John and Spike backed into one of the corners of the church, desperately trying to find a way out. But until Twilight spoke. I don't think so. We made sure to make this church escape-proof, so you couldn't get away. We are getting married now.
Luna chuckled at John. We are. Yes, we are, darling. I cannot wait to see my children a year from now. Now Celestia was laughing her heart out. Same here, she replied with a smile. Ah, I cannot wait for the joyous sounds of little hooves running around, and claws too, and of course from you and John, Luna. John and Spike were scared to death. They did the only thing they could do. You know what's coming.
Ah!
Spike woke up, flaring his arms frantically, but then stopped as he realized he was back at Twilight's treehouse. Spike then wiped up the sweat off his brow, letting out a relief sigh. By dragons of old and dragons of new, it's just a dream. For now. Spike knew the dream was going to be reality very soon, but he just couldn't believe it. It was happening. Trixie and the main six were in love with him, and they wanted to marry. Spike rubbed his claw over his scales in absolute defeat. Well, looks like I'm gonna be having 7 wives soon, but first I need to get to know them. At least each one of them, even more than I do now. If we're gonna make this marriage work, yeah, that's what I gotta do. Spike then undid the covers and hopped out of the bed. He then realized it wasn't his bed. He looked and noticed the bed. It was all too familiar.
Huh? Hey, isn't this twice?
But before he could finish, in the distance he heard the sound of frantic galloping. It came from the lobby downstairs and rushing up to the bedroom. The door busted open. To his surprise, a sobbing Twilight. She nearly speared Spike into the ground to console him, but due to his newfound strength, he held his ground.
Spike! Spike, are you okay? What's wrong? Are you going to leave again? Spike, please, don't, please,
said a crying Twilight. As she continued to cry into one of his shoulders, Spike only stared down at the crying mare and sighed. He then began to stroke her mane, trying to comfort her.
Hey, Twilight, calm down. I'm not going anywhere, remember?
He placed his claw under her chin and lifted her head so they could be eye to eye. They stared into each other's eyes for a few seconds until Twilight finally spoke.
You're not? Promise? Pinkie Pie promise?
Spike chuckled. Yes, I Pinkie Pie promise. I'm not leaving. Just had a funny dream. Twilight cocked her head, at that point she had dried up her tears. She then had a sinister smile.
Oh, really? What about? Let me guess. It was about you and John and our wedding day.
Spike then started sweating bullets, as all he could say was, "Eek." Twilight smiled.
I knew it!
She gave him another big hug. Alright, I'm gonna take a break. Sorry. Whew. I need a break, folks. This is not easy. I need a few seconds. Alright, from here on, it's gonna be about John and Luna. You're gonna find out how John is homeless. It's just sad. Sad. Warning, crossovers from Halo is expected. Alright. Meanwhile, back at Canterlot, the same thing happens to our other young hero, John. Whoa! Where am I? He looked around the room, his forehead also covered in sweat. John just shook his head nervously. Man, I want to marry as much as the next guy, but none of that means if I get ripped apart. Suddenly, a young woman's voice chimed in. We are sorry about that. Art thou all right, my darling? John turned his head to the voice, which was lying next to him. It was Luna, gazing at him passionately. John was spooked a little bit, but he shook it off. John only gave a warm smile. Oh, hi, Luna. Yeah, just had a weird dream. Luna looked at him and gave him a sly smile. Was it about the wedding? You know, The one where thy were wearing your fancy golden tuxedo, and you and thy Spike were about to be wedded to all of us? John snapped his head at Luna and looked her square in her eye, shocked. Then he chuckled to himself. Right, you have magic powers. You also have, also known as Dream Drop. You can go into people's dreams and watch them like they were living the moment. Yeah, forgot you could do that. Luna was shocked for a few seconds, but then chuckled lightly. Yes, replied Luna with a smile. It seems your human knowledge of us has answered your questions. John then gave her a sinister smile. All but one. Can you do that someone say, like, kisses you? Luna cocked her head slightly to the right, wondering what he meant by that, and why he gave her a sinister smile. What art thou? Just then, John placed his arms around her neck and pulled her into a deep, passionate kiss. At that moment, Luna lost control of her magic. John's eyes began to glow, as did Luna's. They were doing something only a few had done before, mind drifting. This is when two beings are truly in love and they share the memories, each one, the past and possible future. Suddenly, Luna saw John's past. She was in the middle of a street, and it was raining. There was a car. Luna had never saw one before. She was amazed by its design. My goddess! We're dream drifting! And is that a horseless carriage? This must be John's memory. Then suddenly she blushed, realizing how she got there. Why, that little romantic! If he keeps this up, I will marry him tomorrow if need be. She then thought for a minute. Oh well, might as well get to know him a little better. She said with a squeal, as she started walking off, when she heard one name she knew all too well coming from from an adult male's voice. Well, John, you're 3 years old now. You're beginning to be a big boy now. Suddenly there was a woman's voice. My little baby is growing up so fast. Look at you, so cute. Luna's head snapped around at the car passing. John? My John? Replied Luna as her face brightened up. John? At 3 years old? Wait for me! I got to see this! She shouted as she spread her wings out and followed the car, which of course she easily caught up with. She phased in the car. After all, it was just a memory. It was easy to get in and out with no problem, like when you step through a hologram. What she saw made her heart stop. There was a man driving the car. He looked like an older version of John, except he was wearing a unique red battle uniform with a helmet that was resting in the middle of the console of the vehicle. They were driving the basic Warhawk, a civilian model. It didn't have a gun that the UNSC model would usually have. John's father was Captain Joseph G. Wells, aka Spartan, a unique soldier trained specifically to fight the Covenant, an alien race that had declared war on humanity. However, humanity, after several years of fighting at last managed to defeat the enemy. However, there were still a few ragtag squadrons left in their part of the galaxy, so Spartans were still needed to clear them out. John's mother was also a Spartan. Her armor was blue, but she was upset. Because of the last 3 years of the near ending of the war, they could not celebrate John's birthday. Jessie Wells, John's mother, was always upset when his birthday came around. She was upset the most. She felt like a stranger to him. His father felt the same. They turned to each other, tears in their eyes, as this year they had hoped to spend one birthday with their son. The last 3 years of the war, they were busy fighting the Covenant. Not once had they ever celebrated his birthday, not since the moment he was born. John's mother, Jessie, turned to the back of the car. Hi, honey. This year, we are going to give you a big party for you with lots of presents. You've waited long enough. After this year, the war is finally over. We will spend more time with you than any. John's father turned with a smile to his wife, then back to his son. That's right, son. No more war for us. Instead, we will watch you grow into a man. and one day help you with your family, as God intended. John had a huge smile on his face and looked at his parents.
Okay, this is John at age 3. I love you, Mama. I love you, Papa. You're the best and strongest. At that moment, his parents wanted to stop the car dead in its tracks and hug him. That was the first time they felt like they had ever bonded with their little boy. Luna just sat there in the car and then blinked at John.
Oh my, Christia, he is so cute. I could just love him to death. And his father is so handsome.
I guess that's what John will look like a few years from now.
And oh my, his mother looks so strong and beautiful and has a very big heart. I can see where John gets his strength from. She said with a squeal. But what she saw next and heard next, oh boy, would only sadden her heart for young John. Joseph was more now excited to get to the military base to turn in his resignation papers. The same went for his wife, Jessie.
That's right, Joseph. No more bloodshed. No more. Just, God, no more. I'm just glad.
Before she could finish, the communicator in her helmet went off. Attention all units. Attention all units. Covenant battlecruisers have been spotted in Sector 29569, Delta Charlie 9. All Spartans report to battle stations. I repeat, all Spartans report to battle stations. Joseph exploded. What the hell? You've got to be kidding me. Of all the days those split chin decide to attack, they picked my son's birthday? Jessie was no better. Good for nothing freaks. Don't they know when they've been beaten? Again. I have to miss my little boy's special day again. I assured those split chin freaks that this would be the last time they interfere with my family. Luna was shocked. She had never seen anybody, or in this any pony, or in this case anybody, this mad before. Whew. Let me take a break, folks. Luna just looked at them shocked and with fear. Oh my, I feel sorry for the enemy. Never come between a parent and its child. She kept quiet and watched the rest of the events unfold, but she didn't like what she was about to see. John looked at his parents in the back seat with a sense of knowing what was about to happen.
Mama? Papa? Is you going to go fight again? No birthday again?
Jessie and Joseph turned around, turning their attention to John, tears in their eyes. Joseph didn't know how to say it, but he just had to come out and say it. Choking down every word, though, Joseph addressed his son. I'm afraid so, son. The enemy doesn't know when to give up. Jessie was worse. She almost choked on her tears. But, listen, baby. When we get back, we promise, we will never leave you alone again. We will spend all your birthdays together, she said, basically tears running down her eyes. They were dropping from her cheek. At every word, she knew there was no excuse for missing her son's birthday, especially for 3 years. They drove up to the military base. They took John out of his booster seat as Joseph held him in his arms as they walked by into the front and past the front doors, down the main lobby, to 2 big sliding corridors which revealed Marines scrabbling to their posts, ready for action, boarding Pelicans, aerial combat units. The Marines used Pelicans, aerial combat units the Marines used. Jessie noticed the front counter. The sergeant in charge of that station was accepting applications. His name was Andrew. He was African American. He had also served with Jessie and Joseph on the front lines, and he knew this year they wanted out. And when he saw Jessie and Joseph coming right at him, he almost saw it himself. Oh crap, listen, it's not my idea. If it was up to me, you'd be out of here. Out of the military already, and out of here, he said, hoping they would not kill him. Joseph walked up to him with John in tow, and then pointed towards his boy. You see this boy? This is my son. We have been retired. We were here to turn in our papers and make it official, and all of a sudden we have to go back into battle? What the hell? What happened in Sector 29569? For 10 years, there has not been one sign of Covenant fleets in that area. Not in 10 years! Andrews was ducking under his desk when Jessie decided to add her 2 cents in as well. She had a pretty good idea at the time on what was going on. She just gave Andrew a coy smile. Let me guess. It's some glory-hogging general that's trying to get his last bits of glory and provoke a stray Covenant fleet. Andrew held his head down in shame. He had already crawled from underneath his desk and sat himself down in his chair. He said with a sigh, "That's about the size of it. Yep, that's about the size of it. This hotshot general, she thought she could take on a small fleet of 500, but it turns out it was a fleet of 20,000. Joseph and Jesse could not believe what they had just heard. Joseph couldn't believe it more. Let's just say he freaked out. 20,000! Let me guess. We have to clean up a mess that this general left behind. Andrew shook his head in agreement, but he wasn't happy. Yes, I won't lie. It's the biggest fleet we've seen in years. If we don't stop them now, Earth is surely doomed. Jesse was pissed beyond belief. It's just not fair. How can humans be so dumb? If they had been just left alone, they would have gone back to their homeworld, and this war would be over. But no! They have no regard for people who have families and want to spend time with them. Luna at that time watched and heard everything. She was on their side, especially at Jesse's. Luna just gave her a proud smile. You go, girl. Tell that scoundrel what's for. That's more like it. Show them a mother's rage. And you, Joseph, fight for thy family as a father. At that moment, said general of the fleet approached them. Do you have something to say? Say it to my face. Joseph and Jesse turned around to see a woman with silver hair that stood around 5'6", mildly muscular, your basic general. Jesse wasted no time as she frantically ran up to the general and punched her square in the face and shouted, "Hell yeah, we do! Our orders were to destroy the stragglers, not chase them down, which causes the mess we're in now. Do you have any idea how many men and women will die today? All because of your search for glory. You people disgust me. You sit behind your desks. You sit behind the command centers on the ship, while we soldiers are on the front lines, risking everything and get very little in return, while you big shots get it all." Joseph grabbed his wife by the shoulder and pulled her back. He then towered over the fallen general with a coy smile, but then changed to a serious snarl. "My wife is right. Last time I checked, only the highest ranking generals in HQ have those orders. Generals of 2nd or 4th class have those abilities. You are not any of that class. What gave you the right to make such a stupid decision?" The general looked at both of them with anger, but before she could say another word, another voice stepped in. It was a general by the name of Hawk. She did not, and she's going to face military consequences for her actions. First off, trial. Second, court-martial. And third, 25 years to life for the death of 3 cruisers. Each had a crew of 500. In peace, take this sorry-ass excuse of a general away. All 3 looked at the general. At the new general. It was a general that was respected for his skills on the battlefield and off the battlefield. Joseph looked at him with a smile, with a great smile. "Hawk," he replied, sticking out his hand to shake General Hawk's hand. "It's good to see you, sir." General Hawk did not have the same expression, however. "Hi, Joseph. Hi, Jesse. Look, I'm so sorry. Believe me, I never meant for this to happen. I never thought one of my own generals that I had trained would do something so stupid. As he said this, the MPs were taken away, said General, to be trialed. He then looked back to Joseph and Jesse with a sad smile. Look, all I ask is this one last bit of service from you. 2. After this, the war will truly be over, and if you want, I will watch little John until you get back. John and Joseph. Sorry, I'm getting into this. Joseph and Jesse looked at each other and then handed John over to General Hawk. They then geared up and walked over to Hawk and addressed their son. At that moment, Luna was still watching. She knew where this was going. It hit her in a sudden flash of realization. Oh no, this must be the day his parents... Sure enough, it was the near next day. General Hawk woke up and turned on the TV and was shocked at what he saw. Out of 50,000 ships that engaged the 20,000, only 5,000 made it back. The names of the soldiers that had died in action were shown on the screen, and with a sad heart, John's mother and father were among them. General Hawk nearly threw up. Oh my God, no! 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 I promised them they could have time with their son. God almighty, I will make sure that sorry excuse of a general hangs by her neck. Just then he heard crying. His blood ran cold. He slowly turned around, and there was little John crying his eyes out.
Mama and Papa didn't make it, but they can't miss my birthday. They promised. No!
Luna cried. She cried so much it hurt. She tried to embrace him, but as she did, she ran right through him. She had forgotten. It was just a memory, but that did not stop the pain in her heart. She had been banished by her own sister, but this was much worse. Never truly knowing your parents since birth because of war, only to have them promise you that you would be together, that they would be together, that you and them would be together, only to have them be taken away. She was surprised that he was still in his right mind, and how he still had such a great big heart eluded her. General Hawk tried to stop the boy from running out the door. John, stop! General Hawk collapsed. He had a bad leg from an old war injury he sustained from the earlier years of the war. It stopped him from trying to catch John. By the time he got to his feet, the boy was long gone. He ran out to his porch and yelled, John! I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for everything. He broke down to his knees and cried for his two best friends that had died, and for their son was now all alone. Ooh. After that, General Hawk looked for John for nearly a year, with no luck. He was needed back on the front lines to clean up the mess, and to finally announce that the war was over. After that, though, Hawk retired from the military to look for John for 2 more years before giving up with a broken heart. Luna then proceeded to jump forward a few years and saw John on the streets, learning how to survive. She then came to the spot where John saw the show for the first time, and it was weird for her seeing how her life flashed before her eyes in the form of entertainment. My goddess, this is awkward. No wonder he was hesitant to tell us how he knew so much about us. She then came to the part when he was applying for the job that could change his life, only to see his heart crushed. Once again wandering the streets, Luna hid her hair down in sadness. By all the constellations, why has such a horrible life has befalling my darling? Then she noticed John making a wish near the high school. Luna looked up in shock. My, so this is where Twilight Sparkle went to get her crown back. Wait, that statue, is that? She was caught off guard when John clapped his hands together and said his prayer. Then the portal opened. John and Luna looked into the portal and saw Spike arguing with Twilight and Celestia. Then John backed up, which caught Celestia off guard yet again as he jumped into the portal yelling, "Yahoo! Goodbye, Earth! Hello, Equestria!" After that, Luna was snapped back to reality by none other than John. Luna! Luna! Yoo-hoo! Earth, Equestria to Luna! Hey! Snap out of it! Luna shook her head and looked back at John with tears. John tried to find out what was going on and what was wrong with her, but before he can even say one word, she tackled him onto the bed, hugging him with all her might. John was caught off guard, extremely, as he was blushing from ear to ear. Luna, hold on. We're not even married yet. I do want to have children one day, but not now. Luna broke the embrace with a blush, and she gave him a smile. Tears still were in her eyes. No, silly, but that is after the wedding. John gulped with a nervousness. I should have known, but why are you crying? Luna looked at him and with sadness. I saw your memories when we kissed. John interrupted. Yeah, I know what you mean. I saw it all. You battling discord, using the elements of harmony, fighting your own sister, then Twilight and the others. Man, your life is... Wait. If I saw your memory, does that mean... John's eyes widened. He covered his mouth with his hand. Oh, crap. He got up from the bed and walked to the nearest window. You saw how I became homeless, didn't you? Luna got off the bed herself and trotted up right next to him at the window, grabbed his hand with her hoof, placing his hand on her cheek while placing her other hoof on his cheek. Whew. Give me a second, folks, another water break. Yes, my dear, I saw your mother and father. They were strong, and they loved you with all their heart. They tried so hard to keep their promise. I know that if they had tried to and made it, they would have been with you now, loving you. Having not the strength to bear it any more, John broke down, hugging Luna. He had never done this, shared his pain with anyone. For the first time, he had found someone that understood it and accepted him right then. Right then and there, he did something that would shock her forever. He went over to the nearby dresser of the room that they were in. It was just built by Celestia as John and Luna's new home, of course. She had bought them many new furniture. While John was expecting each one, unknowing to Luna, he had found one with a ring, as well as a set of rings, one human-sized and the other for a pony, with a letter. Dear John, I know I have been pushing for this, but if you ever have a change of mind and decide to, pop the question, I had these rings made. One is to go on your finger as per your human customs, which you told me of the other day. The other one is to go on Luna's horn. Think about it. Love you, and hopefully soon to be family member, Celestia. P.S. Don't forget the nieces and nephews. John chuckled. He went back to the dresser and pulled out the box and took Luna's hoof. And he looked at her and got down on one knee. Luna gasped. John, what are you doing, my love? John only smiled, and he replied with a smile. Luna, for over 10 years, I've been alone. No one to care for, just myself. But here you are. You've also been through tremendous pain. Yourself, banished for 1,000 years, only to come back to a world that's completely different than your own. But you don't have to bear it alone. Listen, I was told from Celestia, once a pony of your species bonds with some pony, or someone in this case, they start to age like you do? Luna, still in confusion, answered his question. Yes, thou is right. Why thou ask? Once again, John only smiled. Well, that's all I needed to hear. He then showed her the wedding ring on his finger and then quickly placed the one fitted for her on her horn. And then he asked the one question she had been waiting for 3 days for. Princess Luna, Princess of the Night, will you make my nights the greatest nights of my life? Will you help me fill them with bright stars of hope and happiness? Basically, Luna, will you marry me? Luna was speechless. She was frozen as a statue. John looked at her for a few seconds, and then a few more seconds, then minutes, then it went to 30 minutes. You get where this is going. John decided to investigate. He waved his hand in front of her face, and then snapped his fingers, trying to get to her attention. Luna? Hello? Luna? Yoo-hoo! Anybody home? He then chuckled. Oh, snap, I broke the princess! I wonder how far I can get on foot. Oh, what's the difference? I wonder how far I could get if Celestia were to find out. Maybe 20 feet before she sent me to the sun. And then he heard the said pony in question. I don't believe it. To be continued. Okay. I'm sorry if I didn't sound right. I had to force myself to get into the mood of this story. I'm at page 7. I got page 11, and that'll be it. Plus, I'm getting nervous. My throat's getting sore, cracking up, getting excited. When I get excited, my throat starts to swell and get a little swollen, and I start to stutter and mess up. So I'm gonna end it here before I mess up even more, and screw up the plot. But I hope you enjoyed it. Many people have been wanting this to be out for a while. And to those who have waited, thank you.